welcome back to another edition of This Week in Innovation. I'm here with my podcast partner, Brian. How you doing today?
Doing good, Jeff. How are you?
Brian, it's a busy week. We have a few announcements that are upcoming. I can't share quite yet, but it's going to be pretty cool. And I have another announcement, too, that I can't share yet, but it's going to be watch this space in the next 3 weeks. So lots and lots of happening around the podcast world.
Awesome, and looking forward to hearing more on those, Jeff. And also, I think we are very excited today to have Michelle Pakinsey with us. Michelle is the Vice President of Digital Innovation at ULTA Beaty. And Michelle is also a repeat guest in our show. And we are very happy to have her here. Welcome, Michelle.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Jeff. Great to be here.
Awesome. Great to have you as well, Michelle. So one of the things we're going to be doing today is we are going to be talking about the new venture fund that ULTA has launched. We are very super excited about it. I think it's a great fund for entrepreneurs in the beauty space. And we are very happy ULTA did that as well. So we're going to learn more about the fund today, right? Michelle, tell us a little bit about the new fund you launched.
I would love to tell you guys a little bit about the fund. So we officially launched the fund in the third quarter of last year at Analyst Day. But then most recently, with branding and a lot of support from our marketing team, we officially publicly launched Prisma Ventures just a few weeks ago. And the idea behind Prisma Ventures, for sure, it's about supporting digital innovation. It's about supporting our efforts related to innovation and everything we're doing within the innovation team. The idea really is to help accelerate a lot of the work that we're doing in digital innovation. But another key aspect of really going into some funding is to find some really great partners that we think together will be better, and that by working together, we will be able to accelerate creating differentiated experiences for our guests. So that's the idea behind Prisma Ventures.
Perfect, Michelle. So tell us a little bit about the funding specifically. Like, what type of companies are you working with? Is this for early stage, late stage, or is this stage agnostic? What type of beauty areas are you covering? And are you also a lead investor, or where do you participate in this ecosystem?
Sure. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the fund itself. We publicly announced that it's a $20 million fund. For the most part, the fund itself, the way we think about these investments and evaluating potential partners is 80% of the fund is something that we refer to as owned differentiated. So the majority of our investments, what we're looking to do is we're looking to do something that goes beyond a normal commercial agreement. So we are looking to not just invest in the company, but what we want to do is we want to collaborate and co-create with those startups. So it's a bit of a unique relationship in that it's both commercial as well as an investment. So 80% of the fund is, again, earmarked for owned differentiated, or once again, partners that we like their idea, we think it's great, we think it's going to resonate in beauty, in retail, but we believe that together we really will be able to create something that's differentiated and something that our guests are really going to love engaging with. Then the other 20% of the fund overall is something that we're just referring to as opportunistic. So really big bets that we very much are forward-facing into the future of beauty, the future of retail, not exactly necessarily sure where it's going, but we think that it's something that people eventually will embrace. So we've got kind of 80% in owned differentiated, and then the other 20% in opportunistic. And the startups that we're looking for definitely are very early stage. So we're looking for the most part at early stage seed funding, check sizes from anywhere from $250,000 to maybe a little north of $1 million, maybe at 1.2, 1.5 million, something like that. And there are key areas of investment or companies that we're looking for. And the types of companies that we're looking for are very much connected to how we're thinking about digital innovation and our focus areas, but The areas of investment or the companies that we believe are very connected to our roadmap and innovation is one would be personalized and data-driven technologies. Another one is companies that are doing current things in AR, VR, and the Metaverse. Third area is social commerce. And then last is something that we refer to as technology-powered beauty products and services. And so what we mean by technology-powered beauty products and services is probably is a lot more of an opportunistic play, but these are companies that they might be building robotics to perform a beauty service, or they might be building some form of a device that is actually creating a beauty product, whether it's skincare, hair care, makeup, or something else. So that's a lot, but that's the way that we're thinking about the ventures, the amount of the fund at the moment, how we're looking at the two different channels of investment, the types of companies that we're looking for, and a little bit of how we think it's different than other funds that are out there.
That's fantastic, Michelle, because I think it was really interesting how you articulated it, because in terms of the categories that you're looking at, especially even things like the tech-powered beauty and some of these categories, they are very unique because typically when we talk to corporate investors, we typically hear very general categories. Oh, we're going to do AI. We are going to do AR. We are going to do very fixed categories like Metaverse, blockchain. But I think you're thinking, peeling the onion like a couple of layers and thinking about what sort of matters to the industry, which is super cool. And also over the years that ULTA has been involved deeply with various startups and startup acquisitions and everything. What was the, apart from the business thesis, what was like the original inspiration? Is this your journey through working with startups and acquiring some startups led to this? Or how did the inspiration come internally?
Yeah, in fairness, prior to Prisma Ventures, it's published that we did a couple of acquisitions. In fact, our very first deal was an investment. We invested in, I think maybe many people that know the podcast and know, Brian, your company, we did it. We invested in iterate.ai. We do believe in low code, no code. We think that allows us to basically experiment much faster and to build solutions faster. So it wasn't that we were doing a little, right? We had a couple of investments prior to Prisma Ventures. There's another investment that we made, again, ahead of officially forming Prisma Ventures, and that was with our search partner of the future, or our search provider, AdeptMind, that will be powering our digital store of the future, kind of everything search related to ULTA.com and our mobile apps. We made a little investment there. And one of the things that we realized along the way is it really took us a long time to construct these deals. The contracts were different. It was definitely new to ULTA. They weren't standard agreements that we had, and it just took way too long. So we had opportunities, and generally what we were doing is we scramble to grab our existing paperwork to do what we knew, like to be basically working on things that like test and learns, but the way we normally went to market with them. So there was no concept of co-creation, collaboration, working together on IP. We did not have any kind of contracts like that, something that would protect both sides. And so the reason for forming Prisma Ventures really was to accelerate digital innovations and UltaBeauty's capability to partner with some of the companies that we were finding that we felt like together we really could build unique capabilities that would resonate with our guests. And we wanted to give them the backing and some of the access to what we knew was very different about working with UltaBeauty. And that was that we wanted to be able to let them vet their ideas, meaning give them access to our stores, access to some of our customers, whether it was digitally, physically in stores, and almost work with them to shape these ideas that we believed strongly in. So by forming Prisma Ventures, really a lot of the background behind it was to more efficiently form the relationships, move fast, put in place standard, unique, kind of differentiated terms and conditions that would allow both UltaBeauty and startups that we felt strongly in build things together. So that was the impetus to why we officially started Prisma Ventures.
Wow, that's such a great story. Michelle, when I look at the innovation pillars that you talk about, one, personalized and data-driven technology, two, AR, VR, the metaverse, three, tech-powered custom beauty products and in-store services, and four, social commerce. Three of those four are not specific to the beauty industry. I think the fourth one probably is. So you're not necessarily looking for startups that are involved in beauty from the get-go. You're looking at base technology then to overlay a beauty aspect to it, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Jeff. Certainly there are some of the, we already have, right, as I've mentioned, we had a couple of our partners that we already had investments in prior to Prisma Ventures. And then at the end of last year, we added about 4 partners that we had been actively working on. We added them to Prisma Ventures. So right now we have about 7 different startups that are a part of the Prisma Ventures fund. And there's a couple of them that for sure, at the core, they're doing image processing. So at the core, they're doing things like skinitizing landmarks. And you're exactly right that our layer of that image processing is very much kind of skewed or bent. We're leveraging it for the beauty industry. So we are working with, again, a couple of the partners. One of them we've collaborated with on our Skin Advisor. They do the skin analysis, and then together we're helping to improve the algorithms around different skin conditions. But then we have someone like an Adept Mind. And an Adept Mind is just a company that has a completely, what we believe to be a very intelligent approach to search and an intelligent way to create an index that if someone is looking for something on a digital property, you can surface the data and you can do in really creative ways, mining reviews creatively, doing some creative things with colors and then applying different filters. So you're exactly right, Jeff, is that something like that is just what we believe is a phenomenal search product of the future. And that's broadly great in retail. So it's a combination for sure of some of the companies that are in the fund. And there are many of them or ones that we look at that have a solution for really what is the future of retail. And then we're taking that and we're specializing and focusing it to our particular industry, which is, of course, is beauty.
Very interesting. One technology I don't see, and I'm curious, AI, is it that you already have, you think you already have enough of that? Is that interplay that is helping there, or is that just not an area that you want to go after specifically?
You know, what we are, basically, AI would be underneath personalized and data-driven technology.
Yeah, okay.
And so we didn't want to just call out AI. We wanted really to have it be underneath, that AI fundamentally is underneath AR. So it's underneath augmented reality. And then it's underneath, basically, it's the right approach to leveraging data to create personalization.
I think AI almost feels like it's in every category to some degree, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And so we felt like if we just had AI there, and maybe it wouldn't be focused enough. And that's why we basically raised up to the top personalization and then even made it a bit more generic with data-driven technology. But you're right, Brian, our Metaverse, social commerce, for sure, there's a component underneath social commerce that AI enables. So it's underpinning, the technology itself is underpinning a lot of these technology themes for the startups that we're evaluating.
Brian, how many retailers actually have investment funds? I can think off the top of my head, probably 5 or 6. And now UlTA's...
It's actually a very low double digit of retailers who have investment funds. And a lot of the things specifically, like from hearing what Michelle is telling us here, is that this is a very well thought out, unique thesis from a fund perspective as well, because they have thought out about the categories really well and how that fits into the business really well, which I think is definitely a much more unique fund thesis in terms of going to market with, even for a corporate fund in terms of investing in startups.
And I think the other thing is, just to kind of, I mentioned it before, but one of the things to tag on to that is that we do think, and I talked about this, but we do think that we hope that we've created a bit of a differentiated corporate venture fund in Prisma Ventures in that, and again, everybody, kind of the listeners can find out more about this on our website. You can go to ulta.com and there's then underneath company, you can locate Prisma Ventures and it tells you a little bit about some of the things that we're talking about here. Some of the things that we think make this unique are access to the market. And again, that means that when you think about UltaBeauty, we've regularly talked about the fact that the assortment is broad. It's across all categories in beauty. We have high, low price points. We have a lot of digitally native brands. And so we're saying that if you have a great idea and we think that it's great for retail and there's a great connection in beauty, why not validate that through allowing us to provide access to the beauty market? That's one thing. The second thing is, and we regularly discuss this, which is our unparalleled data. We for sure have said many times that we believe we have one of the most differentiated sets of data in retail. And that's because of our 36 million active loyalty members. When you combine that within this breadth of data, that's a wealth of information. And so with someone, right, data is king. For a startup to have a great idea and then to be able to work with one of their partners, a strategic investor that is going to help validate the idea through the data, through the access, we think that's pretty special. And then the other thing, the third area is our level of expertise. And by that, what we're saying is we are a retailer, we are a business. We have, in digital innovation alone, we have entrepreneurs, we have founders outside of the company, we have people in marketing. We have a level of expertise in the industry, in retail, in technology. We want to work together. And then that's the fourth area that we think will make this kind of that will make Prisma Ventures very unique, is joint experimentation.
And create a supporting ecosystem for that.
Wow.
Exactly. Is that why don't we then, right? Yes, the thinking was, and some of this came from, if we were really that bullish on one of the startups, that we were going to use the technology ourselves and provide feedback, why would we not also want to invest? The thinking is if we felt that it was really something innovative from a digital innovation perspective, and then we were going to work with them from a commercial perspective, why not make sure that this company is viable for the industry as well? Hence a little bit of both the commercial relationship, or for the most part, really this partnership of co-creation, collaboration, for the good of the future of retail. And also we may as well have an investment in that as well.
So the companies you invest in, can they work with that smaller other beauty provider that you go head-to-head with, or is that an exclusive deal to you? Can they work in general retail? Can they work in other aspects of retail?
Jeff, candidly, we obviously, we won't get into kind of the particulars of our terms, our specialized kind of T's and C's. What I would be very willing to say is that if we think that it really is, if we think we've got a novel idea together, or that the company does, minimally, we'd like to get the first crack at it. So we'd like to start off and use it for a bit. But generally, we are very supportive of allowing our partners in Prisma Ventures to do whatever they need to really expand their vision, be successful. And ideas like exclusivity, as an example, it's something that for us, we think we're really great at partnering, and it's a conversation. It's a conversation that we would have, and then it really depends upon how unique we think it is, and if we really want to be first to market with that idea. But there's many things that generally, again, I'll go back to an adept mind, or for that matter, iterative, low code, no code. But what we really want to see is we want to see those ideas flourish in the industry, flourish in technology, and we want to help support those ideas. We want to use them too, but we don't necessarily need to be the only ones. So what I would say, Jeff, is ultimately it's a conversation, and we're more than open to having the conversation about what's right for our partner.
No, this is great, Michelle. Being an investor and a strategic partner at Iterate, we can tell you firsthand, ULTA has been a great partner for us in the last 3 years. I think we were one of the early companies that was invested by ULTA, and it's helped us, and they've helped us tremendously in our journey in building our company. It's been a great partner, a great sounding board over the years, and I'm glad that you guys are expanding this in a much bigger scale and a much more structured scale as well, which is wonderful. One quick thing, Michelle, is like, what as entrepreneurs are pitching you, what would you consider as a successful sort of pitch?
Brian, to answer that question is Prisma Ventures is managed. It's jointly managed within UltaBeauty. So it's a partnership between digital innovation and corporate development. So our corporate development team sits in strategy, and we have two managing directors of Prisma Ventures. One is on my team, is in digital innovation, and then the other one is in corporate development. And then there are two investors, if you will, that again, one sits in innovation, the other on the corporate development side. So when we're looking at startups, we already have we put in place some nice tools. We built a nice pipeline to evaluate different companies. We definitely go through diligence. So for sure, if we're interested, we're going to look at the financials. We're going to look at the business plans. We're going to look at ultimately the strength of the founders. And what I would say is, I think so far of the companies that are in Prisma Ventures, this is not about UltaBeauty investing and what's the ROI behind our investment. These companies are going to be profitable. That's not why we're doing it. Now, that said, I would love it if every single company that we invested in, basically it began to pay for and fund the digital innovation team and we were generating revenue. That'd be phenomenal. But probably need to get maybe I should consider doing something different then if that's the case. What we're thinking about is when we look at the founders, it's super important to us to really kind of feel the passion that the founders have, to believe in the founders. I would say that entrepreneurs and founders and those that have been previously successful, that's great, but it's the clarity of their vision, the conviction of their vision. And the more they can bring that story to life for us, the more that they're jazzed about it, that they're passionate about it, the more those individuals resonate with UltaBeauty. Culturally, I would say there is, for sure, it's a lot about the partnership and a cultural fit, like-minded people. But then by the same token, we have to obviously allow room for people that are very different than us as well. So there's huge emphasis on the founders, the people, their vision. That's probably incredibly key. We don't necessarily care that maybe it's brand new technology, it's not generally available. But if we believe in the idea, we believe in the founders, then we're interested. And then what I would say is that it definitely needs to then be backed by a plan. We certainly have had some great ideas. And we've worked with some partners where the idea is great, their networks are great, the cultures are the same, but just from a plan perspective and kind of basic business discipline and principles, even like more of a process and approach to gaining fund, and they don't really have a bit of a plan. And I would say the one thing that we're not set up to do is we're not set up to help our partners run their businesses. So while some of us might be able to, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to together do the things that we talked about, give you access to the market, collaborate on your experiment, vet your experiment, do some consumer insights. We're ready to do that. And then we want to make sure that if we do that and we do the collaboration and the co-creation and yes, some financial backing to it, and that people really have a plan that they can capitalize on it and put their foot on the gas pedal. So those would be the things that I would say. Come with a plan, for sure. Come with a solid plan of what you'll do. And UltaBeauty, we're not a VC. That's not who we are. We are a retailer. We've already talked about what we think is different about us, what a lot of the financial investment companies can do, that advice that they're going to give the company. We're expecting that the startups that we're looking at, that they've got access to that level of specialization so that we can provide what we think is unique to UltaBeauty.
Michelle, are there common mistakes that vendors make when they pitch you? And they don't have to be startups. I'm just curious. I've heard it, and I'm gonna be interested to hear if there's one that pops out. But what are some of the common mistakes that vendors make when they first approach you?
Lack of a business plan, right? We have had, or when I say lack of a business plan, that can come in the form of even some of the follow through. I think the thing, Jeff, that really where we've done well is where, and Brian could maybe even comment on this, I think where we've done really remarkably well is when we have a startup that values having UltaBeauty or someone like an UltaBeauty, a strategic investor. And we don't have to be the only one. There can be other strategics that are a part of, that are in the fold, but where they value what UltaBeauty brings to the table. Because what we're bringing to the table is not just our checkbook, right? What we're bringing to the table are the things that we talked about, that we will partner with you. We will help you vet and accelerate your idea through our physical digital presence and I say data, we're not giving away we're talking about being able to analyze, provide measurements and say, it's working, it's not working, do this, do that. So those that come and immediately can see the value of UltaBeauty. And what I would say is also not the access necessarily just to the industry and the physical and digital, but when they value the partnership, the style of the partnership that we are bringing to the table. We're not going to micromanage you. We're there to provide support. If you need to do something, if you want to test something, we will provide and will, if you need the help, our help to help test. If you need access to beauty boards or panels, we'll provide that. So the better that people appreciate what UltaBeauty as their strategic can bring to the table and how to leverage that, those are the startups that I would say, Jeff, really, where there's really marriage there and it's going to work incredibly well, is that they're valuing why someone like Ulta might be one of their investors. And it's less about, and then if the concern, back to your, like the other question that you had, is that then if the concern becomes, oh, because UltaBeauty's there, then XYZ company may not be, what we would say is, again, we won't go into particulars, and for sure we want to lead, but we are more than open to conversations because at the core, we really do want the success of these founders and their ideas, and we want them to flourish. So it's basically to capitalize on UltaBeauty and what we can bring to the table. And if you don't get that, probably it's not the right investment for us.
Yeah, the other thing that's really interesting, Jeff, I think what Michelle and the Ulta team are doing is, I think it's also lifting the boats in the beauty industry, right? Because traditionally, beauty is one of those industries where even though the industry is large and there is a lot of purchasing and procuring it, there is no structured venture capital models in beauty. Some VCs do make some investments in beauty, but also this idea about investing in young entrepreneurs and helping them at the early stage of their companies and guiding them through the journey and providing this industrialized specialization is actually not really there very much in the beauty space. Say if you're just a generic AI entrepreneur, you can actually raise capital very fast. But in the beauty space, I think it's as the leaders in the space in terms of the industry, it's very nice to see Ulta coming up with an offering to put some capital in and also to work with the entrepreneurs, which I think is a very unique proposition.
Yeah, and look, the other thing that I would say, Brian, is that we have the utmost respect for all of the great names in the VC world, as well as in our industry, as well as our existing beauty partners, L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, LVMH. They have great investment arms, and they're large companies. They do amazing innovation. So we in many ways, right? In starting Prisma Ventures, obviously we looked at those as examples. And we looked at the way that they were set up, how they do it. This and many of those examples, in addition to technology, right? Many of those companies are also looking at products and brands and backing them. Prisma Ventures really is very focused still on, and so is digital innovation, differentiated guest experiences. And then back to your point, Jeff, which is something it isn't just unique to beauty. A lot of the things that we're doing can be applied to other aspects of retail. But what we think is the power of Ulta Beauty is that we're a house of brands. And so unlike L'Oreal, Estee, all sorts of digitally native brands, LVMH, they're in our stores. And so we're providing, right, access of choice to come in, explore. And then when you take a startup or someone's idea that they have and they want to test their idea, once again, we'll take like an example, might be someone like ULTA AI, who is in Prisma Ventures, and they're a phenomenal company out of Estonia that is doing some really great work around deep skin analysis. They do a lot of work, not just in retail. Frankly, a lot of their focus is in medical, like in clinics and things, because they do that level of deep analysis. But they're applying it to other areas, hair, teeth, any number of things. And what we think is really great, right, is that then once again, they're providing skin analysis. Right. So they're providing the analysis and then allowing the guest to navigate across the breadth of the skincare product assortment, as an example. And there may be some products that people may just have an affinity to, depending upon what the concern is that they have. So what we offer, right, is we offer that agnostic view of access to the beauty industry and services. And then we do it physically and digitally. Or a retailer. And then what we think is unique, once again, like what we have uniquely to offer is the way that we show up, like from a partnership perspective, that we are willing to work with you. If that's, again, we feel like the joint experimentation is something that we can do uniquely together because of who we are and the accessibility that we have to the beauty industry.
That's amazing. If I could have one ask for all my fellow analysts and reporters, if there's any way we can get insight out of what you're finding, what you're seeing, you've got to be sitting on a treasure trove of where the retail tech world's going to evolve to. So anything you can share on down the road, you have an open invitation to continue to give us insight as to what you're up to.
Would it be, again, we would be, we're very new on this journey. We're 4 years in. I think we talked about this last time, Jeff. We're 4 years in. Believe it or not, we're 4 years into having formed Digital Innovation. This is the next chapter for us, is we continue to innovate. And we felt forming Prisma Ventures was something that could just help us kind of race to the future of retail and help really shape the future of retail and really provide access for kind of the visionaries, both visionaries in this space that can do something, really make a change for both the benefit of guests as well as the retail industry, but access to technology, visionaries in the space. We're hoping that together, the things that we're doing from an innovation perspective, and then the support of some of, again, the key visionaries and key technologies that are emerging, that by bringing this all together, that we'll do something unique and ensure that at the end of the day, the heart of everything for ULTA Beauty is the guest. And so we want to make sure that they have great experiences, not just at ULTA Beauty, but in retail. And we would be delighted to continue to talk about our journey and innovation and things that we're seeing that are working, not working, and how we race to the future.
That's
so
fantastic.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, really appreciate you guys giving us an opportunity to chat.
Fantastic. How would a startup get in touch with you?
There's a couple of ways. Thanks for asking. Once again, they can head on over to ulta.com/company/Prisma Ventures. Search for Prisma Ventures in your favorite search engine. And you can always, if you go to the website, there's a place to submit ideas, drop us a note. And when in doubt, you can email us at prismaventures@ulta.com.
And we'll have all those in the show notes. Michelle, I think that's probably a great place to put a pin in it. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for giving the insight. I think I heard a little something about the metaverse that we might want to dig into a little bit later. So I might issue a formal request.
We'll do that, Jeff, next week. And thank you, Michelle, once again, for being our valued guest. Really appreciate that.
All right, you guys, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you guys, again, letting myself and ULTA Beauty tell our story and innovation. Much appreciated.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode. For more info, refer to the pod notes below. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and review. It really helps us grow. I'm your host, Jeff Roster, analyst at large. If you want to connect, follow us on Twitter at JeffPR or at BrianSathanation, or connect with us on LinkedIn. Visit my website at roster.retail.com or